Today is going to be hot, muggy, and active for severe weather. We have an enhanced risk for portions of Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, and Nebraska, bringing high winds, possibly large hail, and a tornado or two are possible. Main areas for the risk of wind are going to be in this hatched 30% area that is in most of Iowa, parts of southwestern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, and northeastern Nebraska. Tornado risk is all throughout Iowa, down stretching into Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, and about the southwest region and central region of Minnesota. Hail is going to be most primarily in that South Dakota, Nebraska area as storms develop there today, and they have the highest chance for dropping 2-inch hail in the central western Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and we do still have a 15% chance all the way spanning about halfway into Minnesota and Iowa. Jumping over to some models here, we're looking at the simulated reflectivity for tonight. Storms stay pretty calm until this evening timing where they start to fire off in the South Dakota region and pursue a line into Minnesota, and another line starts to develop down in the Iowa region spanning all the way into Nebraska, and they push to the east as the night goes on. We only have out until about 1-2 a.m. right now, but that's when storms should start to die off going into the overnight hours. Looking at temperatures, it is going to be very hot today. We have temps up into the 90s, and some places like Kansas and Oklahoma, Texas are going to be hitting in the hundreds base temperature as we go into before the storms start developing. And when they develop, we're going to have a nice cold front that comes through with those and cools the region that they pass through down into the higher 60s. As well, the other unfortunate part about that heat is we do have a high humidity content. We're looking at the high 70s into 90s percent relative humidity, and when those storms fire off, it's going to get really sticky after they pass through, but that will bring a slight period where the humidity gets drawn up and into the atmosphere. Looking at some severe weather parameters, we're looking at the surface-based CAPE, which is the available potential energy that the atmosphere has. And as it starts going into the afternoon, when these storms are going to start firing off, we got pretty high CAPE here. We got about 4,000 to 4,500, maybe 5,000 in some spots, which for this time of year is pretty high and is nothing to bat an eye at. And that's going to move over into the Minnesota. You got a nice line here that spans down with those other lines that are starting into the Iowa and Nebraska area and pushing down. And for our area, it's going to really drop off around the 10-11 o'clock, and then it dies out as it goes farther into the night, which is going to make those storms either go down to general thunderstorms or die out completely. The other thing we're going to look at is the significant tornado parameter, which is where the models think that there's the highest chance for tornadoes. And you can see it's pretty low, but we do have some points where are popping up into the 3.5 out of 10 as we go into the night. It looks like it's going to be mainly in this little corridor of the 4 states of Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, where it's going to be the most likely for having tornadoes today. So with that being said, make sure to stay aware of weather, have ways to receive alerts. Also, not just that, make sure you are drinking enough water today and staying hydrated. If you're getting overheated, find a cool environment to be in or some shade to get out of the sun if you're outdoors. I will keep stuff posted as we find out more, and I hope you all have a good day.